Hello everyone and welcome to my new devlog video. Today is the 29th of October and today I'm just presenting to you what I've been working for the past few days. Hopefully you can see the improvements graphically that I've made compared to the last video. For the last few days I've actually implemented normal mapping and also using a specular texture, so that in the shaders the application knows how to light up a particular object. So what I'm currently doing is loading the normal map for the Earth and also the specular for the Earth, and then I need to calculate tangents for the normal mapping, and then those are all combined to produce what you see here on the screen. If you can't see what I'm talking about, let me just zoom into Earth real quick. You'll notice once as I move the sun here, you see how you can actually see bumps on the actual Earth, indicating hills and mountains. And you can also see as the sun, the reflection or the specular here reflects mainly off the ocean and not on the land. So you can see how it looks quite nice over there on the edge here. This took me, gave me quite a bit of hassle trying to get this working, because at first I thought it would be as simple as just loading a normal map, but as I mentioned, you have to actually load tangents as well. You have to calculate those. You also have to make sure that the format you're loading the normal maps is actually correct, because I had it sort of working, but it was never correct. It was not essentially, the most textures I'm loading at the moment are being loaded as sRGB, which is the same format as the swap chain images, but not directly related. And so I assumed I didn't realize that if you try to load a normal map as sRGB, it's actually not going to turn out correct. And so after a couple of days of struggling with it, I found out that you actually have to load it as a uniform, as a uniform format, as basically a linear color space as opposed to sRGB, in order for the calculations to be correct. Once I did fix that, then I noticed that the lighting improved significantly, but I still was getting a few issues. For instance, if I were to move this into the dark, what I would have noticed is that the dark side of the planet still had a lot of highlights, and what I did to fix this was that the actual normal map I was actually using was already between -1 and 1, because from what I understand, normal maps are usually between 0 and 1, and then you want to actually within the shader convert them to -1 and 1. But since it was already between -1 and 1, I was doing additional calculations, and then the result was incorrect. So when I found that out, loaded a correct normal map, which was in between 0 and 1. You see the results here essentially. I think it looks really, really nice, the result, and all of this is just an illusion essentially, because if I were to zoom in, you see it's actually flat. There is no hills, it's still a perfect sphere. It's just that the way light interacts with the planet and the texture makes you think it's rough. And so this is a great way to add a lot of graphics fidelity to an object without actually adding more vertices. So for the program that I'm creating which I believe is at the moment, because I'm developing an application for my final year project. So I'm still trying to finalize my project idea, but I do think I'm going to be implementing something related to satellites and basically a real-time satellite viewer. So when tracking a satellite, seeing this level of detail will significantly make the planet look a lot more realistic. Now there's still a lot of work to do because I'm not sure if the shadows are in the correct direction, but I need to everything is still a work in progress. Another thing I implemented was a specular map. That wasn't actually too hard. Because I just load the texture, and in the shader, in the fragment shader, I do that calculation. So essentially, wherever there is the ocean, it will be highly reflective. However, once it's on land, it's not reflective at all. As you can see, you don't see that reflection, but you only see that reflection in the water. We can change the properties of the reflection, as you can see here. So you can see how it looks as you change the intensity of that. But yeah, still a lot of work to do. I think now what I'm going to work on is definitely with the code, making sure everything is consistent, and also having the ability to differentiate objects. So certain objects, for example the Earth, I want to have normal mapping and specular mapping as well. However, for instance, for the moon and for the sun, I probably don't want that. Maybe in the future, but at the moment I don't need that, and so I want to make it so that I don't need to load any sort of texture for that. I can just have a specific entity, which is the Earth, and then load everything for that instead, and just fall back to using a normal albedo texture, just a color texture for everything else. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll speak to you guys soon.